What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs, right? They still have that open roster spot. The question is, how do they fill it? Right? You kind of look around and it's kind of like, what does this team need? What could this team use? Pretty good at the center position. I mean, I wouldn't mind another like 6'10" guy, maybe slot in, like an Al Horford or something like that. If you could bring somebody like that in, you're good in the guard position, pretty good in the forward position. So talked about, right? You could either bring in a young guy that is like a development guy that's young. There's questions about Minix. Well, he ended up signing a two-way, so that still maintains the flexibility with the open roster spot. So you could look to bring in some young player that maybe has some growth and some upside potential that you can kind of take a flyer on. The other route is bring in a veteran, right? Kevin Love, if he ends up getting waived and bought out, right? That's a guy that in a pinch could play for you, but more so you'd be looking to bring in to kind of be a mentor, locker room guy, somebody that can, kind of fill in gaps where need be, but kind of be that bridge between the coaching staff and the players and, kind of be an extension of the coach and stuff, right? Just an example. I'm not necessarily saying that they should go and get any of these guys, just examples of the directions that they could go. But the one kind of need when you look at this team, you look at this roster, is three-point shooting. It's kind of like the biggest kind of question mark that this team has. Now, obviously, we'll see what De'Aaron Fox can be. Can be kind of streaky at times. Harrison Barnes, probably your best three-point shooter. You got Devin Vassell, who could be a good three-point shooter. Victor Wembanyama, he needs to get his percentage up, especially if he's going to take 8 threes a game, right? But kind of go down the line, and it's like you have a couple guys, Julian Champagnie, who maybe could take a step or two, but ideally, if you could bring in kind of that sharpshooter type of player that could kind of fill in a role, especially on a vet minimum contract, even if it's just kind of a spot minute guy that you're giving a couple attempts a game and hoping that he can knock down 2 or 3 over the course of a series, I think would be fantastic for the Spurs, right? And the Miami Heat may end up waiving that answer for the San Antonio Spurs, somebody that I think could make some sense for them to bring in, take a flyer on, see if he can kind of fit with this team. At worst, kind of maybe a training camp invite or something and just see, right? Like, it doesn't hurt to experiment. But per reports, the Miami Heat are looking to get off of Simone Fontecchio, because they want to get under the cap. So Fontecchio, he's somebody that gives you that sharpshooting, right? He's a guy that you hear 3 and D, doesn't really have the D pause. He's more of like sharpshooter, but he is a guy that can do a little bit of it. Right? He can catch and shoot, knock down the 3 ball. He can self-create a little bit, get to his spots, shoot the basketball, make the occasional play for others. Rebound, he's actually a pretty good solid rebounder in limited minutes, right? So, if you kind of give him an expanded role, what could he do? How can he, provide? He's not old, but he's older, especially for a guy that doesn't have, 10 years of experience, right? So he'll be 30, or he's approaching 30, and he entered the league in 2022, 2023. So, you're talking about going into his 4th year. He's been on 2 teams, technically on Miami, but probably not going to play for Miami if they end up waiving him out. But played in Utah, and he played in Detroit last year. Now, he did have a very good stint when he first got traded to Detroit. He actually put up 15 points, 4.4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and half a block, while also shooting almost 43% from three-point range on 6.3 attempts. I'll go over the stats here more in depth here in a moment, but he's a guy that has shown, like, if given the role and opportunity, he's a guy that can actually give you some production. And this is a team that I do think could potentially look to give him that role and opportunity, especially as they're kind of developing young guys. Right? He's a veteran guy, kind of that Spurs guy, a guy that understands, knows, and can play his role, not going to play outside of that role, willing to kind of slot in and be very chameleon-like for this team. And like I said, he's a guy that provides exactly what this team could potentially lack. And the reason I say could potentially lack, because we don't know, like, how does Devon Castle improve shooting the 3 ball, right? I don't think that they're going to be great, a great 3-point shooting team. I don't think we're going to look up and be like, wow, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in basketball. I don't think it's going to be anything like that, but They could be a pretty solid 3-point shooting team. Again, it just kind of depends on how guys like De'Aaron Fox and Julian Champagnie and all these guys, Victor Wembanyama, especially if he's taken a 10th of our 3-point attempts, or 20% of our 3-point attempts. But get into the stats here, right? Last year was a little rocky. So he's played total, right? He's played 91 games in Detroit, right? Most of his stint was in Utah, where he played 52 games his rookie season in 2022-2023, and then played 50 games and started in 34 of them in 2023-2024, and then ended up getting traded to Detroit, in which he played 16 games that year. And then last year was the first full season in Detroit, in which he played 75 games. So he's giving you playing time, right? You look 75 games, 66 games the year before, 52 the year before that. So guy that, again, can give you some, playing time, best ability is availability type thing. A guy that, once again, gives you some shooting. Talk about a guy 6'7", 6'8", slot in 2 through 4 on many occasions, and just be that shooter. But last year, he had his struggles. So 16 and a half minutes per game, which is the second fewest since his rookie season. Got 5 field goal attempts per game, which is the fewest of his career, period. Shot 40.2% from the floor. Shot 33.5% from three-point range on 3 attempts, which was, again, the fewest of his career. He shot from 2-point range on 2 attempts, 1.9 to be exact, just under 51%, which again was the fewest of his career. EFG of 50.4%. 83.3% from the foul line on 1.1 attempts, 3 rebounds, an assist, half a steal, half a block, and 6 points per game. But like I said, you look at the Detroit, when he first got there, played 30 minutes, so almost double the amount of minutes in that 16-game span. Got 12 field goal attempts, which slightly more than double from last year. Shot 48% total from the field, and then on 6.3 attempts, shot 42.6% from 3-point range. From 2-point range, shot 54% on 5.6 attempts. Had an EFG of 59.2%. Shot on 1.6 attempts, 84.6% from the foul line. Grabbed 4.4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, half a block, and 15.4 points per game. So again, if he's given the role, he's given the minutes, he's given the opportunity, he's somebody that can give you just quality, solid production out there. So he's a guy that I wouldn't hate, right? You're bringing him in on a vet minimum, low risk, high reward type move. He's getting bought out or waived by Miami, because again, they want to kind of get under the cap. We'll see if he actually does get waived, but if he does, I think he's a guy that, if I'm the Spurs, I at least consider. I take a look at and see if maybe he can kind of come in and play a role for you as kind of that sharpshooter off the bench. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me not. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.